Supporters of trade say that investment and the communications it brings are the key to opening up an isolated and poor country. They say trade sanctions only hurt the Burmese people, and only those few countries which will impose them. The United States is one of those. 2 weeks ago, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright banned new U.S. investment. The European Union has also recently imposed some sanctions. But the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, is moving towards making Burma a full member. Aung San Suu Kyi and the National League for Democracy support sanctions to put pressure on Burma's military rulers. It's just one of the things they hold against her. We go back to CNN's Tom Mentir again, this time with Brigadier General David Abel, the Minister of National Planning and Development.
General Abel, a lot of people look at the situation between the NLD, Aung San Suu Kyi, and the government as something that maybe would be solved if there was some type of discussion or dialogue or getting together and finding some way to move the situation forward.
You know, she must understand what is being done in the country, for who and for what purpose. It's no use of just being locked up in your own house and, and shouting around. And that doesn't help anything. So she should understand really what is happening in the country, what are the objectives, what is being done, and what we aim to achieve. And I think if she understands that, then I think there will be progress.
Is creating an understanding with her possible?
Well, an understanding is between two people, you see, or two organizations. It depends on both. Yes, it depends on both. If you are adamant or stubborn on what you believe, just that, then I think you cannot get to an understanding. But in a situation of give and take and recognizing the pragmatic facts that are happening on the ground, well, I think there can be some understanding.
But that calls for dialogue to create understanding. You can't.
Well, as you know, before we lifted the House detention on her, the chairman himself, met with her and explained the situation, the situation in the country, what had happened all along, because she never really lived here, and what had happened all along, what was happening in the country after 1988, what happened, and what we are doing right now. She explained, and she accepted,
There were two meetings between Slork and Aung San Suu Kyi.
Yes, both the meetings, you see, the situation was explained, and I think she knows.
But why not a third meeting and a fourth meeting and a fifth meeting?
Well, I think after the second meeting, I think she changed completely. See, she changed her position completely.
What do you mean?
Her stand. I mean, she called for the termination of the listing of the National Convention, which is the most important convention that is going on now, because without the National Convention decision, we cannot have the Constitution. And such things, you see, which is unfounded. But she withdrew her party from the National Convention knowingly. We had a lot of members, I think 89 members of the National Convention.
Is there pressure by the government to eliminate the NLD as a political party?
Well, I would say no. I wouldn't say. I would say no, categorically no. No.
But how do you get them back in the process? I mean, is it important to have them back in the process? I would think so.
Well, as a political party, I cannot say exactly. I wouldn't say exactly, how important it was. But I mean, they were in the process already, because they decided that it was important to be in the process, and they were in there. And why did they get out? Knowingly the consequences of getting out of the process.
But what about encouraging outside investors to come to see Myanmar? There are those on the outside who are saying, don't invest here, don't come here. don't visit as a tourist. Does that hurt the situation?
The mainstay of the economy is agriculture. But tourism, as one earner, we planned visit Myanmar, and it is quite modest. We planned for a visit of 500,000 tourists. And tourists are coming in quite strong now. And I think that it will be quite successful. It will be successful.
What about the state of the economy? There are reports that your government is facing a shortage of hard currency right now.
I would say yes, but it's not a serious problem because we are not a net importer of many goods, you see. We are self-sufficient in food, and we have a lot of other sectors we are sufficient. So it doesn't cause much problem. If we are a net importer of food, it can be very serious.
When President Clinton was in Bangkok, he talked about drug production in your country, and that your country is causing, by allowing drugs to be produced, as he put it, much suffering and pain around the world. Do you feel you're doing enough to stop the production of drugs?
Well, Tom, to be frank, I think we've done more than enough. If you weigh it in terms of life and sacrifice, I think that we have sacrificed a lot of life we know that it's an international obligation, and we have sacrificed a lot of life to reduce this drug problem.
Where is Khun Sa now?
Khun Sa, he's being kept in safe custody in region in safe custody.
The United States would like him to be extradited to stand trial.
Well, if we have an extradition treaty, of course, why not?
But you don't.
We don't.
And you won't.
Pardon?
You won't.
Well, I mean, this should have been thought of long time before, you see. I mean, just when it comes to Khun Sa's turn, then you say you want to extradite him. It's quite a problem, huh? Isn't it? I mean, you must also honor the sovereignty of every country.
But there are those who say that Khun Sa is still operating, pulling the strings like a puppet behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, anybody can say anything, you see, but you have to come up with the proof. If you come up with the proof, then we can act on the proof.
So what you're saying is he's totally out of the drug business, not involved, even behind the scenes?
I mean, I would say yes, yeah. I would say yes. I would say yes.
In custody as a prisoner?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say prison, but he's kept in safe custody.
General Abel, this year is Visit Myanmar year. And as with investors, there are those who are telling tourists not to come here.
Well, we are inviting them. We say, come and see. Don't accuse us from afar. Come yourself and come and see. And then you can say, okay, you're a bad guy or you're a good guy, or, the country is at chaos. You can come and see for yourself.
If you had the opportunity, as you do right now, to speak to them directly, they'll be watching this interview.
Yes.
What would you say to them?
Come and see for yourself. Yeah? Don't shout from behind the door. Don't tell the devil to come out of the room when you haven't seen the devil himself. Come and see. Come and